Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Some disclaimers for this video. So this is going to be a spooky story off of Reddit. I will post the original article down below. It does include some disturbing content, some swearing, so viewer discretion is advised. And the other disclaimer is that the baby rabbits are out. So there are 2 little rabbits running around, and hopefully they won't be too much of a nuisance, but you might hear some scuttering, some digging, some little pitter-patter paws. Hopefully it won't be too disturbing. We'll see. So, this story is called, "This is the Last Time I Will Buy Something from a Flea Market." I live down the street from a small community college. Once a month they have a flea market that brings in people from all over. Most of the vendors are just small-time rag-and-bone men selling odds and ends, but there are a lot of unique things there. I've gotten a lot of cool knickknacks to decorate my studio apartment, and even there are some typos in this, and even some furniture. Sure, IKEA makes better looking things, but my stuff had history. It had a story. It had personality. I was always on the lookout for something neat to add a little flair to my living space when I stumbled across a new vendor. I come to this market every month, and most of these guys knew me by name. But this guy was new. He was older. I'd peg him as in his 40s, handsome in a friend's dad kind of way, and had a warm smile. His looks drew me in, but his stuff, as in merchandise, pervs, kept me there. He let me shop, and I was glad. I might be nice, but I wasn't too keen on talking with strangers. I often compared my personality to leftovers. It took a bit to heat up, but was great when it did. My best friend, Alice, called me Microwave, and the nickname kind of stuck. She even addressed my last birthday card to Micro. While his stuff was cool, nothing had really been calling out to me. I was about to split when I noticed, buried under some old, or vintage, in rag and bone men parlance, National Geographic, Playboy, and Sports Illustrated magazines, was a small gray electrical box. When I cleared away the mess, I saw there was an old school microphone attached to it. It had an Hearst dial of what looked like radio signals and half a dozen knobs and turners. It looked like something out of Fallout. As if on cue, the man walked over. "That's a John Viking Ranger with a lollipop microphone," he said, assuming I knew what the hell he was talking about. "Want to say it's from the late 50s, early 60s. "What is it, though?" I asked a little naively. He let out a small laugh, and I felt the blood rush to my cheeks. "Guess it's a little before your time. It's a ham radio set." He could see I was still struggling. "Like a CB radio. Like something a trucker would have?" 10-4, good buddy," he said with a laugh. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I laughed at the dad joke too. He had an easy charm about him, that the laugh just came out of me naturally. Collectors call them glow bugs, because of the yellow light on the screen. "Does it work?" He shrugged. "No idea. Picked it up for $2 at an estate sale about 6 months ago. Looked it up online and thought it might be worth something to a collector, but no one showed any interest. I just keep lugging it around from show to show, hoping someone will take it off my hands." I picked up the old microphone. It had some heft to it, and I pretended to talk into it. I tried to think of any trucker lingo I knew, but it was a short list. "Is Smokey on the road?" As soon as I said it, I felt embarrassed. I could not have been any more dorky if I had tried. Sound like a natural, said the man with a smile. You're entirely too nice, I said, putting the mic down. You interested? I wondered if there was a double entendre there, and I decided I didn't mind if there was. I smiled. I think I am. How much you got? I reached into my purse and pulled out $25. Tell you what, since you have such a natural talent and a voice made for radio, I'll let it go for $5. I was stunned. Oh, no, that's too nice. You said it might be a collector's item. You can't let it go for so cheap. He grinned. At $5, I'm making a $3 profit. Besides, it's one less thing I need to lug home. I handed over the $5, and he handed me the ham radio set. I made a mental note to return to his booth next week. When I got back to place, I placed the radio on my desk and plugged it into the wall. I turned the volume knob up until it clicked on. From the speaker, I heard the warm hum of static. It worked. I turned another knob, trying to find a band that had people on it. I scanned, but didn't hear anything. I got to a channel where the static stopped. I pressed the microphone and said, "Hey, world." There was nothing. I was just about to shut it off when somebody did respond. This is the emergency channel, ma'am. Did you need something? No, sorry, I said before shutting the whole thing off. I grinned. It was kind of fun. Granted, I didn't buy it for the function. I bought it for the looks. But still, I could see the appeal. Alice did not see the appeal. She came over later and stared at it. So, some dilf smiled at you and you bought a hunk of junk? Micro, this is why you live in a studio apartment. You need to be better with your money. Shut up, I said. It's cool looking, and I didn't say he was a dilf. I would never say that. No one should ever say that. Yeah. Just promise me you aren't going to go hook up with some rando at the flea market. I have standards, Alice. She just pointed at the ham radio. Do you, though? I laughed and threw a takeout menu at her. Just pick something, huh? I popped a bottle of wine and poured us a glass. It would not be our last. We picked some stupid rom-com to watch and vegged out on the couch. 2 hours and bottles later, we finished our movie. Feeling a little buzzed, Alice looked back at the ham radio and grinned. What? I said, knowing what she was going to suggest. Let's talk to someone. I don't really know how. The only channel I found was the emergency channel. I'm pretty sure we can figure it out. Come on, let's get your $5 worth out of this thing. She walked over and turned it on. The yellow light glowed, and we heard static through the speaker. She spun the dial to try to find another band. Not too much later, we heard people talking, and she stopped. She nodded to me, and then the microphone. I shook my head. She shrugged and grabbed it. Hey guys, how's it going out there in Radioland? After a beat, a man's raspy voice came back. Hot damn, is that your handle, honey? What is your handle, honey? We both cracked up. There was only one answer. Queen Bee, Alice responded. And I'm here with my gal pal, Micro. I rolled my eyes. Sounds like a bit more fun than what I'm doing, the raspy voice said back. What's that? Riding the road, darling. Ever been in a big rig? Without missing a beat. I've rode one. The raspy voiced man laughed and then started coughing. I bet, baby. You got honey in your voice, Queenie. You near D? Maybe. Maybe not. If you are, I got a stinger for you. We doubled over in laughter. Alice looked at me and shook her head. I think this is like getting an analog dick pic. Just then, a more refined, and if I'm being honest, sexy male voice chimed in. Don't be so disgusting, Ripper. Sorry, ladies. Alice gave an approving nod. And who might you be? On here I go by Dash. I looked at Alice and shook my head. Dash? Really? Micro wants to know what's the deal with your name. She can't ask herself. Alice nodded in agreement and handed me the mic. I really didn't want to talk, but 2 bottles of wine took over. What's the deal with that name? Isn't that the one of Santa's reindeer? Alice laughed and took the mic back. She shook her head. And you wonder why you're single. But Dash took it in stride. That would be Dasher, my dear. My name comes from my job, which requires me to be quick. I grabbed the mic and blurted out. So, not in porn, I take it. Alice nearly fell out of the chair laughing. I wasn't far behind. Nor, so it seems, was Dash. He had this laugh. It seemed familiar in a classic movie star type of way. Like, I imagine Cary Grant or someone like that laughing that way. No, he said. Although, anything is possible, I suppose. Future is unknown, I said between laughs. Sometimes. Forgive my friend, I think she hit her head. I couldn't argue. It had. I shrugged, and Alice rolled her eyes. Does she bruise easily? Dash asked, but Alice flipped the switch off and stood up. You, my dear, should head to bed. That booze has made you weird. Aw, don't want to keep giving lonely truckers warm thoughts? I'll pass, thanks, she said, stretching. If I really wanted a thrill like that, I'd head down to the truck stop. Oof, don't even joke about that. Thanks for having me over. I needed a laugh. Are you okay to drive? Alice nodded. I'll be fine. I'm just down the road. I'll take the side streets. We hugged and she took off. Instead of marching off to bed, I decided to lay on the couch and flip through Netflix. I picked a series I had been meaning to start, turned down the lights, and cuddled under a blanket on the couch. I was about 15 minutes into the first episode when I passed out. 3 hours later, I heard a click and then soft static from the speakers. I sat up and saw the yellow light on the ham radio glowing in the dark. I was sure Alice had shut it off, but I had been drinking. I flipped on the lights and walked over to the ham radio. I was about to shut it off when I heard a familiar voice calling through the speaker. Hey, Micro, he said with that charming voice. How are you doing? Dash. I didn't want to respond. I found it creepy, but before I could shut it off, he spoke again. Not up for a conversation, dear? I picked up the microphone. It's late, I said. Sorry. You're probably feeling a little out of sorts, what with all the wine you drank. That was odd. I know we didn't mention any wine to him. Am I wrong? He asked. Look, I've got work in the morning. He laughed. I don't think so. You don't work on Mondays, right? Still have that English class you're trying to finish up. I froze. He was right, but how the fuck did he know that? I looked around my apartment. Was someone in here? Everything looked in place, but that didn't mean shit. Did Queen Bee leave? Nope, I lied. She's sleeping on the couch. Again, he laughed. Then who left in her 2002 Chevy Prism a few hours ago? I could feel my blood chill in my veins. Who the fuck are you? Dash, he said matter-of-factly. We talked earlier before you suddenly left. Why did you leave me? I walked towards the kitchenette and grabbed a knife. I kept my eyes on a swivel. What are you going to do with that, darling? Where the hell are you? Closer than you think. Who do you think turned on your radio? I didn't know what to do. My mind was reeling. I looked across the room and saw my phone on the coffee table. I wanted to make a run for it, but what if someone was in the apartment waiting for me to run? What if Dash was watching from outside and had a friend hiding in my apartment? How bad do you want that phone, huh? Even if you got it, you think the police will get there before I will? I nearly passed out from fear, but I steadied myself on the counter. Fuck it, I thought. I'm going for the phone. I gripped the knife and took off. I half expected someone to come jumping out of one of my closet or from behind some furniture, but nothing happened. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. As I did, Dash was laughing through my speakers. I went to the window and peeked out my blinds into the parking lot below. It had started to snow and the ground was dusted white. I was looking for any car that was idling or someone standing nearby. Maybe it was someone in the building. 911, what's your emergency? Someone is threatening me. Are they there right now? No. Yes. Not really. It's over CB radio. Okay, I'm going to send a squad car down right now, but I need you to stay on the line with me. Do you know this person? No, I said, glancing around a lot. Are they near you? Maybe, I don't know. They said they were. I am, said the response from the radio. I hadn't touched the microphone. How was he hearing me? Was there someone in my house? I'm really scared, I said, holding the knife. Please, get someone here as soon as you can. Police are on their way, ma'am. Just stay with me. Laughing from the speakers. What are the cops going to do? Clean up the crime scene? I started sobbing. Why was this happening? What had I done? I wiped away tears and uttered a prayer. It was the first one I had done in over 10 years, and I hoped whoever was up there was listening. The Lord's Prayer, huh? Right on cue. Right before death, they all become religious. What the fuck is your problem? I yelled, my voice cracking. Why are you doing this? But there was no response. I was watching the speaker of the ham radio and saw the volume button spin and click off. Ma'am, are you okay? I was stunned. What the hell did I just see? Was I going crazy? It just shut itself off. The operator repeated the question, and I blubbered something into the phone. Police are nearly there, dear. I leaned down against my door and just sobbed into my hands. I was so angry and helpless. That's when I heard the crunch of snow outside my door. Someone was walking up. I thought it was the police, but I wasn't going to find out. They could prove it to me. I'm glad I stayed down. I saw a shadow near my window, trying to see in. I could barely make out who it was, but I knew it wasn't the police. He was outside my door. My lizard brain kicked in, and I stopped my sobs. I gripped the knife and was ready to stab any motherfucker that tried to come in. Above my head, the door handle started to turn, but the lock held. On the other side of the door, the man started pushing himself against my door. He was trying to get in. I screamed into the phone, "He's going to come in!" "They're down the street. They're going to be there. Stay with me," the operator said. Just then, the figure swung his gloved hand into my window and shattered the glass. His wrist was exposed. Without a second thought, I dropped my phone, leapt up, and slashed the man's exposed arm with the blade. It cut a deep gash, and he withdrew his hand. I heard him run away as the sirens started to fill the air. I didn't move until the police showed up and proved they were cops. I let them into the apartment. They checked out the scene. They found a few drops of blood and some footprints, but lost both on the stairs. They asked me a ton of questions, and I did my best to answer. I was a mess, and recalling all the details was hard, but I tried. The cops were nice and helped me. I was in shock. Then the ham radio clicked on. Everyone turned to the yellow glowing box. Long beat. Dash spoke. "It's called a glow bug, honey, though rare these days. Then he laughed and shut off the radio. That's when the tumblers clicked. The man at the flea market. I told the cops everything I could about him. They suggested I call a friend and stay over. They also wanted to take in the radio to have a look. Alice was at my house in 2 minutes flat. A week later, the detective assigned to my case gave me a call. He had some interesting information to tell me. He said after poking around, he learned that this kind of attack had happened a few times in the last couple months in the surrounding towns. With that tip, he opened up the CB radio to discover that a microphone and a pinhole camera had been inserted inside and hardwired to the battery. The man had rigged something to turn on the power from a remote location. It was a high-tech gadget stuffed into a low-tech covering. A digital wolf in sheep's clothing. He was probably talking to you from a modern cell phone, the detective said. He could have been anywhere near you. What happened to the other women he attacked? There was a pause. You're lucky you fought back. It's been months. I've moved into a new apartment with roommates and a big-ass dog. I stay away from flea markets, and it goes without saying that I don't fuck around with any bullshit ham radios. I don't know if I'll ever totally feel safe again, but I am working at it one day at a time. What terrifies me, though, is that this man is out there, doing this to someone else, and there's nothing I can do about it. I just tried to pick up the pieces and move on with my life. There was a cold chill in the air that morning. The friendly man tapped on the metal box centered within the junk pile and gave an easy smile. They're called glow bugs, he said to the pretty young girl, and I can let you have this one for next to nothing.